Hey guys, this is No Solution. I'm Scott, and we've got another episode of Blind Buy Blasphemies today. And after that, this will not be music related at all. I'm going to go into some comic book lore with Swamp Thing and recent purchases I've got. So if you're not into that, once the music is done, there will be no more music. So feel free to just X out and go about your day. If you are interested, then it'll be there for you. So let's get into it. This Blind Buy Blasphemies, I've had these sitting here for a while because I picked out four. I listened to them, and there's nothing on here that really I have a strong reaction to, positive or negative, which makes it a little bit boring. So I kind of let it sit there for a while. Then I decided to pull out a ringer and add that in there because I had a feeling I had more strong feelings about that one. So we got a total of 5. So let's get into it. First one is called Syndios, or that's the band name. The album's called Modern Plagues. I think it's technically supposed to be an EP, 6 tracks. Gypsy Midget Records, whatever that is. I think it's probably just a vanity press. This is the only thing they've done. So this is described on Metal Archives as modern progressive black metal. Other than some kind of black metalish vocals, I don't hear a whole lot of black metal on this. It's more, I would say, progressive deathcore, possibly. No, deathcore don't run screaming. It's not all that deathcore-y, but there are definitely some elements there. Some kind of futuristic riffs, which kind of Latter-day Thorns, maybe. So I guess that does tie into black metal a little bit more. But there's some flamenco guitar on here. Very prominent bass, which is honestly a little bit distracting. I think it's way too high in the mix. So this is very talented musicians, obviously, but overall, it's to me, it's kind of a jumbled mess. There's just so many different parts and ideas going on that are just kind of like cramming into each other. It doesn't really leave me with a cohesive listen. There's definitely some cool moments, but I would just call it kind of schizophrenic. The 5th out of the 6th song, which is called, I can't even read it. Oh my gosh. Navengit. Oh my god. I wrote track 5 and then I figured I'd just read it off there. I don't know if you can even see it. Whatever that is. That was my favorite song because it's more short and to the point and kind of more melodic death metal. There weren't so many parts crammed into it. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, these guys are talented, but this is the only thing they ever did, and I can't say that I really enjoyed the listen front to back, so this will probably be going out of the collection. Yeah, so that's Syndios with Modern Plagues. Next one up, we've got Suicidal Vortex from Germany, and it's got a crazy long name. My existence, a series of thoughts amidst infinite darkness. And this is on Afflicted Phonica Arts, a label I've never heard of. So this is a black metal band based on kind of nihilism and suicide. An obvious drum machine that gives it kind of an industrial flavor. Super blazing speed. It reminded me a bit of Anal Nath Rock, kind of that mechanized black metal, which I'm honestly not really a fan of. I think it's ironic for black metal that a genre that it prides itself on being anti-human and anti-human life. That I wish I felt like humans were playing this, and I don't. It feels very mechanical. At times, it feels like it's listening to a vacuum cleaner. That nothing on here stood out at all that I would ever want to listen to again. So, yeah, I mean, if you're into industrial type black metal, you might get something out of this. It's not really a subgenre that does anything for me. So I will give Suicidal Vortex a big pass as well. All right, it's not all doom and gloom. Very mild recommendation on this one, I guess. Sacrificial Massacre. This came out in 2013. They're based in Milwaukee. This is their first full length. It's called Dry Spells and Serpent Gods. On Dread Records, DRO1, so I'm guessing that's their label. This is a band based on Aztec paganism mixed with Satanism. Interestingly enough, I checked what they've done lately, and they've kind of moved into like a native South American paganism mixed with NSBM, which I don't know how those two ideologies correlate, but whatever, it's their band, right? So this opens with some tribal drums and flutes and screams. Really kind of a cool intro to set the mood. It's a super grim and raw album. A lot of very short songs. I don't know, we got like 12, 13 songs on here. Most of them are between 3 and 4 minutes. Took a while for anything on here to really kind of stand out to me. The song Grand Coronation of Iblis was the first song that the riff just grabbed me right away and had a bit more melody to it that gave me something kind of memorable to grab onto. So overall, this isn't very long. Despite all the tracks, it's about 40 minutes. I feel like it's not fully formed, but based on what is going on here, I would definitely be interested in hearing some of their later material, especially since they're still active in putting out stuff, and this was over 10 years ago. I wish they incorporated more of the kind of native sounds and ambient stuff into the actual songs rather than just using them as like interludes and intros and stuff like that. But yeah, so Sacrificial Massacre, I'll probably hang on to this until I hear some of the later stuff, because being a collector scum, if I get like their newest album and I love it, and then I'd gotten rid of this, I would feel like I had to get it back. So I'm going to hang on to this for now. But not a huge recommendation, but might be of interest to somebody. All right, so of the original 4, this is the 4th. This is the Goners with Good Morning. I really like that cover, that kind of painted cover with the... obviously, I like the bikini girl, but lovingly holding that skeleton. This came out in 2020. They're a Swedish band, and this is on Riding Easy. So if you know anything about Riding Easy, you know this is probably going to be kind of a retro deal, and it is. Kind of good time hard rock, garage, psych in a way. There's a bit more boogie rock and blues on here than I personally care for. There's the guitars going to like surf rock territory kind of more often than I would like as well. There's some cowbell if you're into the cowbell. This is one that I heard when I first heard it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I kind of revisited it later, and I was like, I don't think I need this in my life. Despite the bikini girl on cover, this kind of retro stuff is just not really doing it for me. So probably going to pass on the Goners. But if you're into the retro deal, you might want to check them out. So then I pulled out the Ringer. Kind of a cheat, but technically is a blind buy. So the band is Seidr, Seidr, and the album is For Winter Fire, their debut. Came out in 2011 on the Flenser, which a label I was not familiar with, but I guess they've been around quite a while. They're like Bay Area based. So the reason I knew about this band is because Austin of Panopticon is one of the main members, along with Wesley Crow, I believe his name is, from Wheels Within Wheels, a band I'm not that familiar with either. I know they've done splits with Panopticon before. So, yeah, Wesley Crow. There you go. And there's some other guys that contributing in here that I don't really know. So this is, I would say, kind of progressive death doom. First track right off the bat, I was blown away. The first track is called A Vision from Hildskjoldsson, something Nordic there. Because what it reminded me of is a Panopticon, like a modern Panopticon song minus the black metal, but adding in like death doom elements. A lot of really cool instrumentation from Austin, like we've got cello, we've got, well, not on that song, but flutes and whatnot. Just really a lot of layers to discover. I kind of didn't expect it, I guess, to be that dense. And just so you know, this album is 7 tracks and it's like an hour and 15 minutes. So a lot of lengthy tracks on here, and the first one is no exception. So yeah, the first song is probably the one I like the best, which, you know, you gotta lead strong, but then sometimes especially when the album's that long, it kind of, when the best is at the front, it kind of drags it out a little bit. So, a lot of dynamics, despite it being, you know, a doom album and slow to mid-paced for the most part. I don't know. I feel like I'm blaring. There we go. That's a better view of that album cover. And after the first song, I was like, wow, I kind of expected this to be more droney. And then the second song, On the Shoulders of the Gods, has a 4-minute like guitar drone intro. And that's not something I'm into. Like more kind of in the Sun vein. Not something I like so much, but it does vary throughout the album. It's not 6 more songs of the same thing. Track 4, In the Ashes, is like an acoustic and mandolin song with clean vocals. That's one that Austin did on his own, I believe. As the album goes on, there's a lot more kind of discordant riffs that are just kind of eerie and make you kind of uneasy. Last song, Streamkeeper, is very slow. I would say bordering on Funeral Doom, but uses a cello and a piano in the end section that I thought was really effective. Really gives you that sorrowful feel. So I would definitely recommend this, especially if you're a fan of Panopticon. Seder for Winter Fire. They have one more full length that I believe is a double album that I have, but I've not listened to yet. So yeah, kind of a blind buy, technically, but I figured I would at least have something to say about it, so I pulled that out to kind of pad this one out. Okay, that's it for the music. I'm going to get into the Swamp Thing right now. So as a man of a certain age, I've been recently more interested in rebuying my childhood. So when I was a kid, I was very into the Swamp Thing comic. So I did went on eBay and bought a couple individual issues. Got number 1 here, which I remember buying at the newsstand with my dad. And then he got a couple more, and I was like, I don't know if I want to be buying these piecemeal. So Swamp Thing was a character in the 70s, created by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson. Had a series that was kind of short-lived, ended. Swamp Thing became one of those kind of forgotten characters. Then in the 80s, somebody bought the rights to it to make a movie and made this movie. Wes Craven made this movie, Swamp Thing. And kind of to capitalize on that, DC brought back Swamp Thing in a new series. It kind of meandered along and wasn't really doing much business until the original writer had to leave, and Alan Moore, who at that point was not very well known outside of Britain, they gave him the title and basically said, do whatever you want because we're going to cancel it anyway. So go crazy. And he did go crazy. And that Alan Moore Swamp Thing run is one of the most legendary runs in comic books, and really took it into more an adult direction and really was very influential on comics. And I'm not pissing on that. That's freaking awesome. But I grew up on the shitty earlier ones before Alan Moore, and I did not know that, or I thought these were just kind of lost to time. So that's why I picked these up. When I got these, as you can see, I mean, it's not a mint book or anything. I don't even have it bagged, but really nice shape for a 45-year-old book or 40-year-old book. But if you look inside, see how like faded and shitty the color is. I mean, I think that's just how it is. It was on cheap paper, cheap coloring. So I was at a comic book store with a buddy of mine recently, just kind of flipping through stuff, and I happened to come across this Swamp Thing: The Bronze Age Volume 3. And I just kind of looked at what it was. By the term Bronze Age, I assumed it meant the 70s one, but I looked at the back. It is issue 1 through 19 of the original series, which are all the issues before Alan Moore took over. I was so freaking happy to see this. And I got it. And is it great? No. But it is my childhood, and I enjoy it. And as you can see, like, just the quality of the paper and the coloring is just so much better. Yeah, the original issues are cool, but I would much rather have this in one volume and read it that way. So I got that. And then that left me itching for the Alan Moore stuff, which I didn't actually have a copy of. Actually, Garage Geek, I told him I was looking for him, and he had found this one for me, Volume 3 of the Alan Moore run. So I had that. But then I was just kind of looking around and stumbled on Hamilton Books, which had this tombstone of a book, The Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, Volume 1. And just for comparison, it's that much bigger. So the pages are kind of oversized. Comes in this huge glossy slipcase. We'll pull it out here. Here's the book. Has kind of a mossy texture to it. And go inside, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. The colors are great. I guess some people are mad that like they kind of recolored it to make it better. I don't know. I guess I'm not that precious about it. I think it looks awesome. So I now have a good chunk of the Alan Moore run and probably all that I really need or care that much about. But yeah, this is a $100 book, and Hamilton Books had it for like $35, so I had to jump on that. Yeah, if anyone is interested in comic books and hasn't read the Alan Moore Swamp Things, which, you know, if you're a newer fan, maybe that's the case, I definitely would recommend it. So that is that. Oh, and I did rewatch the movie finally. I loved it as a child, and I got this the new Blu-ray, and I was very sort of apprehensive to watch it. Look, it's not great. When it comes down to it, it's a guy in a rubber suit running around, and at the end he fights another guy in a rubber suit. But there's some cool moments. It's cool to see like the practical stunts in it. There's a full body burn that goes on forever. That it is very impressive. Like you know, because this was 1982, they had to really freaking set somebody on fire. And there's some decent stunt scenes and whatnot. We got Adrienne Barbeau in there, and this has the international version where she whips them out and gives everybody what they want, which is always fun. So yeah, not a movie I would hugely recommend to anybody, but as a piece of nostalgia, it's a fun watch. So that's my little Swamp Thing collection update, I guess you would say, for that. And I guess we're done. Thanks if you stuck around for me babbling about Swamp Thing for 8 minutes. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching, as always. And CM Punk is a piss baby. Later, guys.